everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Shayne. I write romance and romantic fiction, and today I have 5 summer romance book recommendations for you. All of these books are ones that I actually would like to reread this summer. We'll see how that goes, but let's go ahead and get started. First up, I have 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. The whole summer premise is in the title. It is about 2 writers, Eva Mercy, who is a best-selling erotica writer, a woman after my own heart, and Shane Hall, who is more of a reclusive, award-winning literary novelist type. And he shows up at her, she has a show that she's doing, not a show, an author event that she's doing, and he shows up at it unexpectedly, and everyone notices that there are sparks flying between them. And it turns out that the 2 of them have some history. When they were teenagers, they had this very short and very intense love affair that ended tragically. Basically, they were separated due to tragic events that they had no control over. And it turns out that they've been kind of writing love letters to each other in their books without anybody knowing it until now. So this is about their reconnection. It's a Second Chances book, and it's about the 7 days in June when they reconnect, and you'll have to read it to see how it all turns out. But this is the first book that I've read by this author. I really love her writing, and this book is a perfect summer romance book. So that's 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. Next up, we have Beach Read by Emily Henry. This is Emily Henry's first book. I read this book a few months after it came out during the pandemic, so it was just a breath of fresh air during those very dark times. It takes place also in the summertime. It also is about 2 writers. January is a romance writer, and Augustus is a literary fiction writer, and the 2 of them, both of them end up, for different reasons, being living next to each other in neighboring beach houses in this kind of, I think it's some place that has beaches. My gosh, that's all you need to know. The details don't matter. Anyway, what does matter is the 2 of them end up being next to each other, and they both kind of have their own issues going on that are contributing to the fact they both have writer's block. And they both have writer's block, and they also both have kind of your standard typical prejudices, biases, opinions about the genre that the other author writes. And that is just delicious. It's hilarious. And also, I read both romance and literary fiction, and some of the things that they say are like, yeah, accurate. But also, so what? That's what we want from these genres. So the 2 of them are having writer's block, and they decide that they're going to shake things up in their own creative process by writing the other person's genre. So January is going to take him on like a perfect romantic comedy date to give him ideas for this romance that he's going to write. And he's going to take her on this trip, this research trip that is decidedly not fun and romantic, to get her into the literary mode. And it's about how they, of course, bond and get to know each other and what? Maybe fall in love? No, never. So that is Beach Read by Emily Henry, another great book for summer. All right, next up we have Next Door Nemesis by Alexa Martin. I talked about this book earlier in my March book haul video. This takes place in a Midwestern town. Basically, Collins Carter, our heroine, is a screenwriter, and she has to leave LA after a video of her goes viral and she's scandalized. So she has to return to her hometown in the Midwest and stay with her parents and hide out and sort of lick her wounds. And she runs into her next door neighbor, Nathaniel, or Nate, who they immediately just have an antagonistic relationship. And you find out it's because they knew each other when they were younger, when they were in middle school, high school, somewhere in there. And they used to be friends, and then something went down so that they weren't friends anymore. And they've both carried that antagonism into their adult lives. So she goes back home, not only has to live with her parents, but has to deal with him. And he is president of the Homeowners Association, and he actually issues her a citation. And she's like, Oh, no, he didn't. I am going to run for president of Homeowners Association and get this citation, the rules that created that citation, thrown out so I can be left in peace. So it's all about her trying to basically beat him in the election for Homeowners Association. It's kind of the adult version of like class president race, right? And yeah, this book was just so much fun, way funnier and clever than I expected. It also takes place in summer. There is a 4th of July parade that is central to the story. It has a central point in the story. And also this book, maybe I'm reading, and I could just be reading into it, but I think this book has a lot of interesting things to say about how there are spaces where everybody has a right to be, but not everybody necessarily feels like they belong. And when you decide, no, I belong here too, how some other people might be like, what is going on? What is happening here? This isn't how it's supposed to go. But this is I love the romance in this. I love her journey. She's so hilarious. She's snarky. And I love the whole story of what actually happened back in LA and why she has to go live with her parents. I love her parents. I love her friend group. It's just a really fun summer read. So that is Next Door Nemesis by Alexa Martin. Okay, now for something a little different, but still very much what I would consider a summer romance, The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young. This is her second adult book that I'm aware of, and it is got a little bit of magical realism. It is about June Farrow, who lives in the small town of Jasper, North Carolina, and she is part of a family of women who have run this flower farm. So you have a flower farm in North Carolina, and it takes place around the summer solstice. The impending summer solstice is part of the plot. And basically she is a woman who is dealing with a curse. There is a curse of mental illness that runs in her family, and when it got to her mother disappeared. So and the way that the illness manifests is like you start losing time, you start seeing things and hearing things that nobody else hears. Those are the symptoms. And she is basically living her life waiting for this curse to hit her, and also trying to make sure that it stops with her. And there is a love story, and there is some portal magic, and it's just suffused with summer vibes, and it's a really fun read. There are times when I was reading it and it was just like I feel like I'm sitting on the back porch of a farmhouse and looking out over the flower fields and the barn, and you can see all the little bugs flitting through the air and hear the birds and the trees whispering in the breeze. It's that kind of vibe, and it's also kind of thrilling and magical and romantic. So The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young, another great summer romance. And last but not least, I have You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. This book is one that there's some debate about whether it's romance or romantic fiction. I would say it's a very romantic book. It's a very sexy book. Probably falls more into the romantic fiction category because there isn't necessarily a central romance that drives the whole story. It's more about this character's journey through grief and loss of love, loss of her former partner, her husband, who died in a car accident. And she has spent 5 years grieving because she considered him the love of her life, and she's been grieving, and she's finally gotten to a point where she feels like it's time to come out of this grieving process and join the land of the living again. And she starts that by going to this Memorial Day party and finding this hot guy and having a little fun at the party. So it starts off very racy and sexy, and it goes from there. So it starts there. She's also an artist, and she meets somebody else and gets this opportunity to sort of take an artistic getaway to an exotic Caribbean island. So all kinds of summer vibes. We got the island, we got the tropics, we got an artistic getaway, we have love, some forbidden love maybe, and healing, you know, taking a summertime of healing from a real loss and a real tragedy. So that is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. And that is my list of 5 recommendations for romance books for the summertime. And that is it for this video. So let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them. And also let me know if you have any favorite summertime romance books that I can add to my TBR. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye!